The history of Croatia begins with its earliest inhabitants, the Illyrians, who settled the region around 1000 BCE. These Indo-European tribes established fortified settlements throughout the Adriatic coast and inland territories, creating a foundation for future civilizations. The Illyrians were skilled warriors and traders who maintained extensive networks across the Mediterranean. Roman conquest of the region began in the 3rd century BCE, culminating in complete control by 09 CE under Emperor Augustus. The Romans divided the territory into 2 provinces, Pannonia in the north and Dalmatia along the coast. Roman rule brought significant infrastructure development, including roads, aqueducts, and cities like Salona, which became the capital of Dalmatia. The palace of Emperor Diocletian, built in Split around 305 CE, remains one of the most impressive Roman monuments in the region. The collapse of the Western Roman Empire in the 5th century created a power vacuum that various peoples rushed to fill. The Slavic tribes, ancestors of modern Croatians, began migrating into the region during the 6th and 7th centuries. These migrations were part of the larger Slavic expansion across Central and Eastern Europe. The Croats, a specific Slavic tribe, established themselves in the former Roman provinces by the 7th century. They organized into tribal units led by local chieftains and gradually absorbed the remaining Roman population. The process of Slavic settlement was largely peaceful, with the newcomers adopting many aspects of Roman culture while maintaining their own traditions and language. The first Croatian state emerged in the 9th century under Duke Trpimir I, who ruled from 845 to 864. His successors gradually expanded Croatian territory and consolidated power. The most significant early ruler was Duke Tomislav, who was crowned as the first king of Croatia around 925 CE. Under his rule, Croatia reached from the Adriatic Sea to the Drava River, encompassing much of modern-day Croatia and parts of Bosnia and Herzegovina. The medieval Croatian kingdom experienced its golden age during the 10th and 11th centuries. Croatian rulers maintained independence while navigating complex relationships with the Byzantine Empire, the Frankish Kingdom, and later the Holy Roman Empire. The kingdom developed its own legal system, minted coins, and established a unique cultural identity that blended Slavic, Roman, and Byzantine influences. Christianity played a crucial role in Croatian state formation. The Croats converted to Christianity in the 7th and 8th centuries, and the Catholic Church became a cornerstone of Croatian identity. The Glagolitic script, an early Slavic alphabet, was widely used for liturgical purposes, making Croatia one of the few European countries to use a national script in religious services. The death of King Datar Zvonimir in 1089 led to a succession crisis that ultimately resulted in the end of Croatian independence. In 1102, the Croatian nobility elected Koloman of Hungary as their king, beginning a personal union that would last for 8 centuries. This arrangement, formalized in the Pacta Conventa, allowed Croatia to maintain its own laws, institutions, and nobility while accepting Hungarian royal authority. The Hungarian period brought both benefits and challenges. Croatian nobles retained significant autonomy, and the kingdom prospered economically. However, the constant threat of Ottoman expansion from the southeast created ongoing instability. The Battle of Mohacs in 1526, where the Hungarian army was decisively defeated by the Ottomans, marked the end of medieval Hungary and brought the Habsburg dynasty to power. Habsburg rule began in 1527 when the Croatian parliament elected Ferdinand I of Austria as king. This decision was primarily motivated by the need for protection against Ottoman expansion. The Habsburgs established the military frontier, a defensive system along the Ottoman border that was populated by Serb and Croat settlers who received land in exchange for military service. The Ottoman Empire's expansion into Europe posed an existential threat to Croatian lands. For over 2 centuries, from the 5th, 10th to the 17th centuries, Croatia served as the front line of European defense against Ottoman expansion. The Ottomans conquered significant portions of Croatian territory, including much of Slavonia and inland Dalmatia. The military frontier became a unique institution in European history. This militarized zone, stretching from the Adriatic to Transylvania, was directly administered by the Hapsburg military rather than civilian authorities. The frontier soldiers, known as Grenzer, developed a distinct warrior culture and played a crucial role in Habsburg military campaigns across Europe. The Great Turkish War marked the beginning of Ottoman retreat from Croatian lands. The Treaty of Karlowitz in 1699 returned most of Slavonia to Habsburg control, and subsequent wars gradually restored Croatian territories. However, centuries of warfare had devastated the region, leading to significant demographic changes and economic decline. The 19th century witnessed a Croatian national awakening that profoundly shaped modern Croatian identity. The Illyrian movement, led by Ludovic Guy, sought to create a unified South Slavic literary language and culture. Guy standardized the Croatian language based on the Shtokavian dialect and promoted the idea of South Slavic unity. This cultural renaissance coincided with growing political demands for Croatian autonomy within the Habsburg Empire. The Revolution of 1848 saw Croatian forces, led by Ban Josip Jelazic, initially support the Habsburg Emperor against Hungarian revolutionaries, hoping to gain greater autonomy. However, the post-revolutionary period brought increased centralization and Germanization policies that frustrated Croatian aspirations. The Austro-Hungarian Compromise of 1867 created a dual monarchy, but left Croatian demands for autonomy largely unmet. Croatia remained part of the Hungarian half of the empire, leading to ongoing tensions with Budapest. The Croatian-Hungarian settlement of 1868 granted Croatia limited autonomy, including its own parliament and ban, but Hungarian control over key areas remained strong. World War I marked the end of the Habsburg Empire and opened new possibilities for Croatian political development. Many Croatian politicians and intellectuals supported the idea of South Slavic unity as a path to independence from foreign rule. The Yugoslav Committee, formed in 1915, advocated for the creation of a unified South Slavic state. The collapse of Austria-Hungary in 1918 led to the establishment of the Kingdom of Serbs, Croats, and Slovenes. However, this new state failed to meet Croatian expectations for autonomy and federalism. Serbian politicians dominated the new kingdom, implementing centralist policies that marginalized Croatian interests. The assassination of Croatian Peasant Party leader Stjepan Radic in the Yugoslav parliament in 1928 marked a turning point in Croatian-Serbian relations. King Alexander I responded to the crisis by establishing a royal dictatorship in 1929, banning political parties and implementing even more centralist policies. This period saw increased Croatian opposition to Yugoslav unity and the rise of more radical nationalist movements. The German invasion of Yugoslavia in April 1941 led to the establishment of the independent state of Croatia, under the leadership of Ante Pavelic and his Ustashi movement. While this state encompassed most of Croatia and Bosnia and Herzegovina, it was essentially a Nazi puppet state that implemented brutal policies against Serbs, Jews, and Roma. The NDH period represents one of the darkest chapters in Croatian history. The Ustashi regime established concentration camps, most notoriously Jasenovac, where tens of thousands of people were murdered. These atrocities created deep wounds in Yugoslav society and complicated post-war reconciliation efforts. Resistance to the Ustasi regime came from both communist partisans led by Josip Broz Tito and royalist Chetniks. The partisan movement, which included many Croats, eventually gained Allied support and liberated Yugoslavia in 1945. The communist victory led to the establishment of the Socialist Federal Republic of Yugoslavia, with Croatia as one of its 6 constituent republics. Under communist rule, Croatia experienced significant economic development and modernization. The socialist system provided education, healthcare, and industrialization, transforming Croatia from a largely agricultural society into a modern industrial state. Tourism along the Adriatic coast became a major economic sector, and Croatian cities grew rapidly. However, tensions persisted between Croatian desires for greater autonomy and the centralist tendencies of the federal government. The Croatian Spring of 1971 represented the most significant challenge to communist rule in Croatia. This reform movement, led by Croatian Communist Party officials and intellectuals, demanded greater economic and political autonomy for Croatia. The movement was suppressed by Tito's regime, leading to purges of Croatian leadership and the imprisonment of many intellectuals and activists. Despite its failure, the Croatian Spring demonstrated the persistence of Croatian national consciousness and laid groundwork for future independence movements. The death of Tito in 1980 marked the beginning of Yugoslavia's gradual disintegration. Economic crisis, rising nationalism, and political deadlock plagued the federation throughout the 1980s. The rise of Slobodan Milošević in Serbia and his centralist policies particularly alarmed Croatian politicians. The first free elections in Croatia in 1990 brought the Croatian Democratic Union to power under Franjo Tuđman. The new government immediately began implementing policies aimed at Croatian independence, including changes to the constitution that reduced the rights of the Serbian minority and emphasized Croatian statehood. Rising tensions between Croatia and Serbia, combined with similar developments in Slovenia, led to the breakdown of federal institutions. On June 25, 1991, the Croatian parliament declared independence from Yugoslavia, setting the stage for the most devastating conflict in Europe since World War II. The Croatian War of Independence began with attacks by the Yugoslav People's Army and Serbian paramilitary forces on Croatian territory. The conflict was characterized by sieges of major cities like Vukovar and Dubrovnik, ethnic cleansing, and the displacement of hundreds of thousands of people. The war evolved through several phases. The initial phase saw the occupation of about one-third of Croatian territory by Serbian forces. The Vance Plan of 1992 established UN-protected areas in occupied territories, creating a temporary ceasefire but no permanent solution. The decisive phase came in 1995 with Operations Flash and Storm, which restored Croatian territorial integrity. Operation Storm, in particular, led to the exodus of most Serbs from the Krajina region, creating a new refugee crisis. The war officially ended with the signing of the Erdut Agreement in November 1995. International recognition of Croatian independence came gradually. Germany led European recognition in January 1992, followed by the United States and other countries. Croatia joined the United Nations in 1992 and began the long process of European integration. The period following the Homeland War was marked by reconstruction, democratic consolidation, and efforts to join Western institutions. President Tuđman's authoritarian tendencies and the dominance of the HDZ initially hindered democratic development and European integration. The political landscape changed significantly after Tuđman's death in 1999. The 2000 elections brought a center-left coalition to power, accelerating democratic reforms and European integration efforts. Croatia began EU accession negotiations in 2005, though the process was lengthy and sometimes controversial. Key challenges included cooperation with the International Criminal Tribunal for the former Yugoslavia, refugee return, reconciliation with neighbors, and economic transformation. The global financial crisis of 2008 significantly impacted Croatia's economy, contributing to political instability and social problems. Croatia successfully joined the European Union on July 1, 2013, becoming the 28th member state. EU membership represented the culmination of post-independence efforts to join Western institutions and modernize the country. However, membership has brought both opportunities and challenges, including demographic decline as young Croats migrate to Western Europe. Contemporary Croatia faces several significant challenges. Economic development remains uneven, with tourism and services dominating the economy while manufacturing and agriculture struggle. The country has one of the highest emigration rates in the EU, leading to demographic decline and brain drain. Political life has been marked by corruption scandals, political instability, and the rise of populist movements. The conservative HDZ has remained the dominant political force, though it faces challenges from both left and right. Recent developments include the country a successful presidency of the G8 and developments include the country a successful presidency of the G8, Council of the EU in 2020 and its adoption of the euro currency in 2023. Croatia's journey from a small medieval kingdom to a modern European democracy reflects the complex history of Central and Eastern Europe. Despite numerous challenges and setbacks, Croatia has maintained its distinct cultural identity while adapting to changing political and economic circumstances. The country's rich history, from its early Slavic origins through its Hapsburg period, Yugoslav experience, and independent statehood, continues to shape its contemporary identity and aspirations. Today, Croatia stands as a testament to the resilience of small nations and their ability to preserve their identity while embracing European integration. The country's beautiful coastline, rich cultural heritage, and strategic location continue to make it an important player in regional and European affairs, building on more than a millennium of recorded history.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel for more engaging historical content.